Super Mario Galaxy. You know, I've always been really fond of this game. Even though I do overall like Galaxy 2 more, I still love the more atmospheric direction of Galaxy 1. Plus, some of the levels in this game are absolute classics. Some of the best in the series in my opinion. So today, why don't we take a look at all 42 of them and rank them from worst to best. I'm going to be looking mainly at the gameplay of every star to judge these galaxies, but also the general atmosphere of the level. Things like the theme, the visuals, the music, etc. Also, a thing to note about Mario Galaxy's level selection is that it's not exactly stellar. Don't get me wrong, there's a lot of really good levels here, but there's unfortunately also a lot of filler. A good chunk of the galaxies in this game have only 1 star, and a couple of those are really short and pointless, and honestly shouldn't even qualify as levels. So while there is some light at the end of the tunnel in this ranking, the tunnel itself is full of a bunch of boring filler galaxies that take 30 seconds to complete. Well anyway, I'm still going to be going through all 42 levels in Super Mario Galaxy, and giving my thoughts about them to determine which are my favorite and which are the opposite of my favorite. So with all that said, without further ado, let's get into the ranking. And we're starting with the absolute bottom spot, number 42, Dusty Dune Galaxy. Oh my god, this galaxy is terrible. I hate it so much. Well, okay, the desert theme visually isn't done too badly here, I'll give it that. And I'll give it only that, actually, because I hate literally every single other aspect about Dusty Dune. The music just sounds like flat and generic Mario Desert music, this galaxy has way too many stars, 2 of which are awful prankster comets, and the stars all feel identical and they're so boring. Oh my god, are the stars boring. Outside of the prankster comets I mentioned, the 5 main stars pretty much consist of walking in the desert for a bit and then doing something at the end that earns you a star. You walk in the desert and then you climb up a tower. You walk in the desert and then you drive a bullet bill into a glass cage. You walk in the desert and then you collect launch star pieces on another tower to then climb up a third tower. Okay, what? What the hell is this galaxy's obsession with towers? Alright, well you get the point by now. All the main missions in Dusty Dune feel the same. They're all relatively unfun to play, and none of them stand out from one another. And don't think the comets are any better. The Speedy Comet is just the 2nd star again, but with a timer, which is really unnecessary. And the purple coin one is actual torture. It might genuinely be my least favorite mission in the whole game. Like, I already don't enjoy purple coin missions in general, but this one is especially bad because of how easy it is to die when you're surrounded by quicksand. So overall, I find this galaxy to be really flat, boring, and unfun, and it very much did not need 7 whole stars. Number 41, Snowcap Galaxy. So now we're gonna enter a streak of galaxies that are kinda just nothing. The next 6 levels are all some of the filler that I mentioned in the intro, and these ones are exceptionally bad and pointless. You know, that's why they're so low on the list. Anyway, the first and by far the worst in that department for me is Snowcap Galaxy. You basically just chase bunnies on a tiny planet covered in snow. The snow on the ground slows you down, which is really annoying, and the only slightly interesting thing about Snowcap is that you can unlock a fire flower to destroy the snow statues. Other than that, this is just your usual boring bunny chase, except with a timer for some reason. I guess at the very least, Snowcap isn't stretched out for no reason and only has 1 star. That's not enough to redeem it though, I still hate this galaxy, it's painfully unfun to play. Number 40, Hurry Scurry Galaxy. Out of all the 1-star galaxies in this game, Hurry Scurry is definitely the most empty one to me. Like, there's no substance at all, you just collect a bunch of music notes on a planet made of disappearing platforms, and that's it, the star's over, and you never have to visit this level ever again. I think if you didn't get it when I said these galaxies are nothing, you probably understand that now. Like, I'm sorry, Hurry Scurry is not a level. It feels like the first thing a 9-year-old would make if they added a Mario Galaxy game style to Mario Maker 2. I can't even say this galaxy is bad, because there's literally nothing to criticize. There's no gameplay here. What the f even is this galaxy? Whatever, let's just move on to the next level already. Number 39, Flip Switch Galaxy. You walk on a couple of panels and the star is over. It actually baffles me that there's 2 whole galaxies like this where you just walk around a planet collecting or activating things. Like, why is there so much filler in this game? They could have just cut down the amount of galaxies instead of adding a ton of boring, lazy levels that take 30 seconds to complete. Anyway, Flip Switch is really boring and it's only above Hurry Scurry because there's the slightest semblance of challenge thanks to the addition of these moving platforms and this one laser shooting thing. Oh my god, how incredible. This galaxy actually has 1 enemy and a couple of hazards. Wow. Alright, enough with that shit. Now we're done with the F tier and moving on to the D tier, thankfully. The galaxies here aren't quite as horrendous as the previous ones, but don't worry about hearing any positive criticism too soon. There's still a lot of bullshit to get through before we get to the actually good levels. That said, let's continue our streak of 1-star galaxies with number 38, Drip Drop Galaxy. You kill 3 Gringills with a shell and get the star. That's the whole level. There's nothing more to it. I guess the general idea isn't too uninspired, and the planet actually looks pretty cool, but like, you kill 3 enemies and the star is over. I'm not even gonna elaborate my reasoning any further, because I literally can't. Killing 3 enemies is not an entire level. God, I am tired of these boring bland galaxies that have nothing to offer. Number 37, Big Mouth Galaxy. Oh look, it's a boring, bland galaxy that has nothing to offer. Okay, well actually there is one thing I kinda like about this one. There's the most obvious skip I've ever seen in my life here, and I find that really funny. Like, you're supposed to go down the water cave to make a sling star appear to sling yourself up to the golden shell, and then use that to get the star. But you can just wall jump to the shell from the start and skip the entire level. It's really funny to me that a skip this big and obvious was left in the final game. Oh, but aside from that, this galaxy sucks. It's short, it's pointless, it honestly shouldn't even exist. Let's just move on. Number 36, Flingpod Galaxy. Finally, the last 1-star galaxy. For now, at least. This one isn't too bad, actually. It has an actual gimmick unlike everything below it, but that gimmick is sling pods, so I don't know if that's really a good thing. Well, using the sling pods can actually be somewhat fun, as long as you don't miss your target, in which case you'll have to restart the whole level because there's no checkpoints here. But if you do manage to complete the galaxy in one try, it's almost kind of enjoyable and satisfying. I mean, Slingpod Galaxy isn't good, but it's not completely 100% worthless, I guess. Also, the fact that it's named Slingpod Galaxy is hilarious to me. Like, come on, it could not have been that difficult to come up with a name for it. Just name it Slingy Galaxy or some shit, I don't know. Anyway, pretty mid-galaxy, but it's not awful, I guess. Number 35, Sea Slide Galaxy. And now we finally reached our first actual galaxy that isn't complete filler bullshit. You don't count. Actually, speaking of Dusty Dune, Sea Slide is kind of similar to it in a way. It has way too many stars, most of which feel way too similar and pointless. The theming is pretty bland, this time being pretty much stolen from an earlier and better galaxy. And Sea Slide also has an obnoxious purple coin mission that is widely considered one of the worst stars in the game. It's not all bad though. Some stars here are actually okay. Racing around the giant water circle is pretty fun the first time around. It's fine the second, and when you get to the third mission in this galaxy that has you race against someone in the water, it really hits you how uninspired Sea Slide can be. That's not a joke, by the way. There's a star that has you race against Guppy, another one that has you race against penguins, and another one that has you race against Cosmic Mario. Was it really necessary to have half the stars in Sea Slide be about racing? The worst part is, the other stars aren't really that much better. I guess the Silver Star mission with the Bee Mushroom is fine, the Purple Coin mission is not fine, and the last one is literally just Hurry Scurry Galaxy again. Yeah, Sea Slide f***ing sucks. Anyway, moving on. Number 34, Boo's Boneyard Galaxy. Yay, now we're back to the 1-star galaxies. Aren't you excited? I'm not. And I'm especially not since this time we don't have 6 in a row, but rather 11 in a row. And the first I have to talk about is Boo's Boneyard, and it's literally just a race against the spooky speedster. Just like the one in Ghostly Galaxy, except it's a whole entire level for some reason. Yeah, there's really not much to say about this one. You do a quick race using the Boo Mushroom against the spooky speedster, and that's it. It's pretty easy and honestly kind of pointless, but not unfun to play, so that's something I suppose. Whatever, let's just get to the next segment already. Number 33, Bowser Jr.'s Lava Reactor. Yeah, this is a weird one. It's a castle level, which I usually like, but for some reason the boss here is a refight of King Caliente. For context, King Caliente is a boss from the first galaxy in the game, and this is the first to last castle level in the game. I just don't get why a refight of a really easy boss that appears extremely early in the game is what they chose for the last boss fight before the final Bowser fight. That's just weirdly anticlimactic. Not only that, but the level before the boss is practically non-existent. You drive a bullet bill into a glass cage, then walk on some platforms over lava, and that's it, you're already at the boss. Everything here is surprisingly easy. It honestly feels like the devs were just out of ideas for this galaxy. I really have nothing more to say. This was just a very weird and disappointing way of going about one of the last galaxies in the game. Number 32, Matter Splatter Galaxy. You know what's worse than an auto-scrolling level? An auto-scrolling level that uses the Spring Mushroom. Yeah, so the gameplay here is about as boring as you'd imagine. Obviously, waiting on some platforms while having to use the Spring Mushroom isn't exactly fun, but the other sections that don't have that power-up are fine. They're just basic platforming, which works pretty well with the bouncing matter gimmick. I also like how this level looks. The green skybox and the blue outline around the platforms look pretty cool. It's unfortunate that Matter Splatter is so short and that you have to use the spring mushroom for a good chunk of it, because this galaxy actually has some potential to be good, but as is, it's just very mid. And now we're done with the D tier, moving on to the C tier. We're slowly leaving behind the bad galaxies, but this is still the C tier, there's not anything amazing here just yet. Let's start this tier with actually a two-way tie between number 31 and 30, Loop-de-Loop and Loop-de-Swoop Galaxy. You know, out of the three motion control mechanics in Mario Galaxy, the surfing ray is definitely my least favorite. I don't find it very interesting, as where the other two actually feel pretty unique, this one kinda just makes you move your Wii remote right or left sometimes. Plus, the controls are just clunky enough to make the game feel uncontrollable, but not enough to make it so there's actually interesting level design that can be made off of it. For example, the bubble and the star ball feel really weird and unpredictable to control, which allows for levels with tricky and precise platforming. Meanwhile, the ray does feel weird to control, but not weird enough to make regular platforming difficult. Well, okay, to be fair, it really doesn't help that the two surfing galaxies are the most boring shit you could possibly come up with. You just surf on the water and there's a couple twists and turns here and there, but there's no real obstacles to make these levels interesting or difficult. Plus, both of them are basically the same. I think Loop-de-Swoop is like slightly more difficult or something. I don't know, dude, they're the same fucking level. Yeah, overall, these galaxies are just kinda boring. They're decently fun, but really nothing special in my eyes. Number 29, Grand Finale Galaxy. Grand Finale seems to be a very divisive level. Seemingly everyone either loves it or hates it, and for me, it's kind of both actually. On the one hand, it's a great celebration, perfectly fitting for the very end of Super Mario Galaxy. The vibes around the castle are immaculate, and it's a really nice finale to this grand adventure. But on the other hand, this has some of the most atrocious gameplay out of any levels in this game. Collecting 100 purple coins is really boring, and that's what you do for the whole duration of the only star in this galaxy. Collect purple coins. That's it. Yeah, the gameplay here is straight up unfun and kinda tedious. I think the best decision here is to put Grand Finale kind of in the middle. It has some great qualities, but it has some huge flaws as well, so I think C tier is a fair placement for it. Number 28, Bubble Blast Galaxy. This is the second level that uses the bubble mechanic, and it's actually pretty difficult, even by motion control standards. You navigate this huge labyrinth of electric walls with the bubble to collect some launch star pieces and launch yourself to a second maze. The second part is just more of the same, with albeit a bit more enemies and obstacles on your way to the star. Like I said, this level actually provides some difficulty, which is enjoyable, but the level design here is kinda strange. It feels very bland and disconnected, and when you pair that with Bubble Blast's really boring theme, if you can even call it one, you get a level that feels very flat and lazy, even though the gameplay is decent. Like yeah, the bubble is fun and all, but this galaxy looks like shit. Number 27, Honey Climb Galaxy. Oh hey, it's that one level that really feels like it just should have been a part of Honey Hive Galaxy. Yeah, seriously though, I don't get why this isn't a star in Honey Hive. I mean, the bee mushrooms here, the level focuses on climbing honeycombs, and it's honestly easy enough to be an early game star. I feel like the decision to make this a standalone level, yet make it have a visual identity so close to Honey Hive, really makes Honey Climb feel like filler. I mean, at least the gameplay's good. Climbing honeycombs while avoiding mandibugs and meteors is decently fun, but again, this really should not be its own thing. It doesn't feel nearly distinct enough to justify it being an entire galaxy. Number 26, Sand Spiral Galaxy. This one honestly has a lot of wasted potential. The idea of having a level where you choose between two power-ups is really cool in theory, but when it's executed like this, it kinda sucks. First problem is that Sand Spiral is a really short level. It's kind of over before you know it, so the whole choosing one of two power-ups thing doesn't really get fleshed out at all. The other issue I have with this level is that it kinda doesn't work considering that your two options are a slow flight power-up that has unlimited flight, and another slow flight power-up that doesn't have unlimited flight. You see what I mean here? Like, there's absolutely zero incentive to ever pick the bee mushroom here. Plus, these two power-ups are really similar in how they function, so whichever one you choose, the level feels the exact same, if maybe not a little worse when you pick the bee mushroom. Well, to be fair, I've been criticizing Sand Spiral a lot, but it's not all bad. The gameplay is still good. Traversing the sand tunnel while avoiding the boos and water shooters is pretty fun, and the section at the end with the rainbow stars and the big moon in the middle looks really nice. But again, this galaxy's gimmick, while really cool on paper, doesn't work when the level is so short and when the two options that are given to you are basically just Boo Mushroom and Boo Mushroom but slightly worse. And we've officially reached the B tier, aka the spot on the list where the galaxies start to get actually good, finally. Let's start right away with number 25, Bubble Breeze Galaxy. This is the first Bubble Galaxy, and thankfully this one doesn't look like complete shit. It actually has this really nice poison swamp theme, which is pretty visually distinct and surprisingly fits incredibly well with the bubble mechanic. The level design in Bubble Breeze is also noticeably better than in Bubble Blast. It actually all feels connected here instead of feeling like a bunch of disembodied level parts that are barely connected. Plus the difficulty is intact, and I still really like the bubble gimmick. This galaxy is just a charming little obstacle course with a bubble, no comments here. Number 24, Bonefin Galaxy. Yes, this is quite literally just a boss fight. A boss fight which I've already given all my thoughts on in the last video, so I'm actually going to be skipping this galaxy. If you want to hear my thoughts, then just go watch my Mario Galaxy boss ranking. I'm not repeating the same script twice, this video is already long enough as is. All you need to know is that even though King Finn's fight is pretty good, and I really like the aesthetic here, a boss fight isn't enough to make for an entire level, and this is a pretty boring galaxy in concept. Anyway, moving on. Number 23, Boy Base Galaxy. You know, we've just started the B tier, and this is the third galaxy in a row whose name starts with a B. I don't know, that's a pretty funny coincidence. Anyway, yeah, Boy Base Galaxy is a pretty good galaxy. The first star starts by having you destroy this anchor underwater to make these platforms rise up so you can progress further in the level. Then there's this part where you climb up the tower and there's thwomps and water shooters and stuff. I don't know, I always just skip that part because bad level design. Then you end with the iconic Pokeball planet, which is just a really cool reference. This first star is definitely very short, but it's still fun nonetheless, and the same applies for the second mission, honestly. That one's even shorter though. You blow up this cage underwater to unlock this green pipe, which takes you under the level where you have to blow up this other cage with a bullet bill that's containing the star. And that's it. That's the whole mission. Honestly, the only reason I don't forget about it is because the star is green, otherwise it's really forgettable. I mean, the vibe in this galaxy is really good at least, and obviously the music is top tier, but Boy Base definitely could have had better gameplay. Number 22, Rolling Green Galaxy. I'm actually one of the 3 people on Earth that really like the rolling ball mechanic, so I enjoy the 2 levels that feature it. Rolling Green is clearly worse though, and I'm not a huge fan of it. The layout is very basic, and I guess the golf course aesthetic looks kinda cool, but it's not the craziest thing in the world either. I mean, at least the level's pretty fun to play. I still love the star ball and how it controls, and even though Rolling Green could have been more interesting, it's still a pretty good tutorial galaxy for this mechanic. Number 21, Gateway Galaxy. This is kind of a weird one. Gateway Galaxy doesn't really have a cohesive environment where all the missions take place. Rather, it's a mix of 2 stars that are hardly even connected. The first one is actually the first star in the entire game, the one you play where you meet Rosalina for the first time. It's super iconic, the music and the vibe here are absolutely great, and this mission is a really good introduction to the game and its mechanics. It's a bit simple gameplay wise, but it's still a fun time. Now the second star is that one mission where you collect 100 purple coins with a red star. And yeah, I think you figured out by now that I don't like missions that make you collect 100 purple coins. I mean, at least this one has the red star, which is really fun to control and makes getting the purple coins easier, but still, I don't like collecting purple coins. It's extremely boring and feels really pointless. Honestly, this mission is kinda like a grand finale galaxy situation, where the atmosphere is really good, but the gameplay is complete shit. Like, yeah, this takes place in that one area where you met Rosalina with the houses and the rock pedestal thing, and the vibe here is really great, but you know, good gameplay would have been cool. Again though, the first star is really good. I'm just kinda mad that the second one made such bad use of such a cool power-up. Number 20, Bowser Jr.'s Airship Armada. This is the 3rd castle level in the game, and it's pretty good. Oh yeah, also a little side note, when I say castle level, I mean the last galaxy at the end of every dome. Just thought I should clarify that since not all of these are castle themed. And that's the case for this one actually. As the name implies, this is rather an airship level. You have to travel from airship to airship using these cannons to progress in the level. Eventually you reach this little autoscroll section which takes you to this last portion of the level where you fight off against Bowser Jr. The fight itself is kind of basic, but still fun, and it's pretty much the same thing for the rest of the level. Going from airship to airship with these cannons and pole stars is pretty fun, and it's a nice throwback to the Mario Bros. 3 airship levels, but the gameplay in this level is somewhat basic. Airship Armada isn't bad, but castle levels definitely get better than this. Oh, also shout out to the random bouncy ball floating in space in this level, that's really cool. Number 19, Bowser Jr.'s Robot Reactor. Yet again, a galaxy that's basically just a boss fight. Although unlike Bonefin Galaxy, I guess this one technically has a level before the boss, but I'm really stretching the definition of the word level here. You just break a glass cage on this tiny planet with a bullet bill, and that's it. The rest of this galaxy is just the fight against Megaleg. I mean, at least it's a really good boss, but like, there's no level here. This could have been one of the better castle levels since Megaleg is legitimately a top tier boss fight, but there's like half the level missing. I'm not going to put what is essentially just a boss fight any higher than this. And that was it for the B tier, meaning we are now onto the A tier. It's in this tier that the bigger galaxies with 5 or more stars start popping up, and also the spot in the list where I don't have much negative stuff to say about these levels anymore. Let's begin with number 18, Sweet Sweet Galaxy. Realistically, I should not like this one as much as I do, but I don't know, there's something about Sweet Sweet Galaxy that makes me love it. I mean, if I look at it critically, it's not that good. The level's pretty short, the platforming is a little basic, but the vibe here is so enjoyable. The neon colors of the platforms, the desserts aesthetic, and the remix of the athletic theme playing, like everything here is so whimsical and joyful. I can't not love this galaxy. Like dude, the stars on the top of a giant cake, that's just cool as hell. And the name of the mission is Rocky Road? Holy shit, I love this galaxy. The gameplay does hold Sweet Sweet Galaxy back from being better, unfortunately. If this level wasn't so short and had more elaborate platforming, it would actually be top tier. Number 17, Rolling Gizmo Galaxy. This is pretty much just Rolling Green but better. The gameplay is way more fun. Here you actually have some interesting and tricky platforming, instead of having nothing but flat terrain and a few Goombas. And the theme in Rolling Gizmo is also one I like a lot more. We went from basically just grass to an actual fleshed out theme, with all these gears and moving platforms. This level actually looks really cool and colorful. And holy shit, I'm out of breath, that was a long ass sentence. Anyway, the gameplay here is really good. The gears with holes in them, the moving platforms, and the bombs are all really fun to maneuver around. And I especially like the section with the moving dice that you have to stand on at the end. It's such a creative and fun way to make use of the limited control that you have when using the Starball. Overall, Rolling Gizmo is a pretty sizable improvement over the last Starball Galaxy, and also just a really enjoyable level. Number 16, Bowser's Dark Matter Plant. We've now finally reached our first Bowser level. This one's really good. The reason why it's not higher really comes down to the level before the Bowser fight. The main gimmicks of this one are dark matter, obviously, and gravity changes. The dark matter is pretty much like the lava in 2D Mario games. It's an object that insta-kills you if you touch it. It's used pretty creatively in this galaxy. It's paired with these platforms with holes in them, and also with the gravity changes. There's a couple segments in the level that have you ride a moving platform and avoid dark matter or black holes while the gravity changes. You then have to adjust your positioning on the platform to not fall off of it, which is a really interesting obstacle and makes for some pretty fun and difficult gameplay. Then there's the classic Bowser fight. As always, you have to make him jump onto these specific spots on the planet to be able to damage him, which is really satisfying to do. This is also the second Bowser fight out of 3, so it's not too easy, but I do wish it was a little more difficult and long. If only a galaxy later on in the list actually did that. All in all, this galaxy is just very good and enjoyable. Number 15, Bowser's Star Reactor. And here we have the other non-final Bowser level. Honestly, both of these are interchangeable. They're about as fun as each other for me. I do like the level before Bowser in this galaxy more though, which is what gave it the edge here. Speaking of the level, is the one that resembles a classic level from a 2D Mario game the most, and I honestly really like that. You have a bunch of fire and thwomps to avoid, with also the occasional gravity change, but it's really not as omnipresent as in the previous galaxy. There's also a couple of moving platforms that are used pretty creatively, like this one random step that moves down and lets you grab these coins. That's completely pointless, and I don't get why that's even in the level, but I like it a lot, it's funny. As for the Bowser fight, it's the easiest rendition, and also my least favorite. But you know, it's still really good, just could be improved on. Overall, just like the previous entry, Star Reactor is a nice and enjoyable castle level that's always fun to play through. Number 14, Honey Hive Galaxy. Alright, now we're finally in Big Galaxy territory. The remaining levels each have 6 stars, or occasionally 7, except one of them, but we'll get to that later. Anyway, let's actually talk about Honey Hive now. It's honestly really good, even though it does use a really mid power-up. At least it makes good use of the bee mushroom, I guess. Particularly the first star, which pairs it with a bunch of water to make it easy to lose, while also making you unable to complete the level without it. Oh yeah, this level also has that one Mario Kart character. Anyway, yeah, the second and third stars in Honey Hive are also really solid. In the second, you climb up this wood structure and then activate a windmill and climb it up to face off against the Mandibug stack, the most absurdly difficult boss fight in all of gaming history. Okay, jokes aside, you finish the mission against the Mandibug stack, and it's ridiculously easy, obviously, but to be fair, this is one of the first galaxies in the game, so I'll cut it some slack. Then the third star is pretty much the last substantial one in the level. The Bee Kingdom is invaded by Mandibugs and the Honey Queen asks you to help her, so you gotta defeat Bugaboom, which is Honey Hive's second disappointing and mediocre boss fight that's based off of a Mandibug. You know, if I had a nickel for every time, the rest of the stars here are not that interesting. You got an easy race against Cosmic Mario, a really short star where you have to rescue Luigi from this tree, and a goddamn purple coin mission, because of course there had to be one. Obviously it's not good, but I'd even say it's one of the worst in the game, because of how open Honey Hive Galaxy is, which makes the star actually pretty long. But aside from that, Honey Hive is just a very pleasant galaxy with really good stars. Kinda like number 13, Gold Leaf Galaxy. This is kind of a joke galaxy that's a mirrored version of Honey Hive with very similar gameplay and stars, but it's surprisingly really good. The main planet of Gold Leaf is the exact same as in Honey Hive except flipped over and with an orange color scheme. That's also the first thing I like more about Gold Leaf. The fall colors look really nice, more than the green of Honey Hive in my opinion. I also think the stars here are a bit better. They follow the same layout as in Honey Hive. You have 3 big exploration missions, and 3 lesser ones. The main 3 are all pretty good. The first one has you find 5 pole star pieces scattered around the main area, to then go to this round wooded planet where you chase a bunny to get a star. It's a very short mission, but a fun one nonetheless. Then the second one has you do a bunch of platforming with cataquacks, which is really cool and unfortunately is a gimmick that went criminally underused in this game. Then the last main star of Gold Leaf is also my favorite. It makes you climb this big wood structure with a bee mushroom while avoiding these rainy clouds. The big tower is really fun to make your way up to, and the platforming all throughout the mission makes great use of the bee suit's abilities. You also have a small boss fight at the end, but that's pretty whatever. Then the remaining stars are just like in Honey Hive, a Cosmic Mario race, a purple coin mission, and a little side thing that's kind of forgettable. The Cosmic Mario race is a little bit more engaging and difficult than the previous, and the purple coins are about as boring and unnecessary as you'd expect, but I actually like the other star. If you go behind this big tree on the first planet, a bubble pops up and you have to collect music notes with it. It's a pretty fun and original idea, even though it is really short. Overall, this galaxy is pretty much just a better Honey Hive, and I always have a nice time playing through it. Well, almost always. Number 12, Good Egg Galaxy. The very first galaxy in the game, kind of. Yeah, Good Egg is just absolutely legendary. It's got really nice level design, some super memorable boss fights, some of the best music in the entire game in my opinion. This galaxy is just awesome. It's a really good introduction to the game, with its rather simple level design and low difficulty, yet it still manages to be really fun whatever your skill level is. Except for that one mission. But by now I think you know what my thoughts on purple coins are, so I'll skip talking about that one. The most famous mission here is without a doubt Dino Piranha. It's most emblematic for its titular boss, which is arguably the most recognizable boss fight from Galaxy 1, and also one I like a lot. The other star with the boss is the one with King Caliente, which surprisingly has an airship theme. That feels like it wouldn't work for the first level in the game, but it actually does, and pretty well too. I especially like this planet here. It's got a bunch of electric rails and enemies and bullet bills. It feels very serious and tense, which fits really well with the music and the general atmosphere of Good Egg. The other big main star of this galaxy has you launch from planet to planet to collect starbits to feed them to this hungry Luma. The planetoids aren't super interesting, but the big pill-shaped planet after that is a pretty neat platforming challenge that messes around with the gravity, and I honestly wish the mission focused on that more than on feeding the hungry Luma. Aside from that, the other stars aren't really worth talking about. Luigi on the roof is very charming and kind of funny, but it's ridiculously short if you know what you're doing, and the remaining stars are 2 really boring, pointless prankster comets that I will not waste my time on. This galaxy as a whole though is really great. It feels very immersive like a lot of other levels in this game don't. Playing Good Egg actually feels like you're traveling through space, and I think that's just really cool. Number 11, Beach Bowl Galaxy. Finally, we've reached the level that Seaslide unapologetically ripped off. And holy shit, this one is way better. Now the gameplay here isn't absolutely amazing. Beach Bowl is kind of a style over substance galaxy. I mean, not really, but a part of the appeal of this galaxy is definitely the cozy beach vibe. The popping colors of the level and all the NPCs that inhabit it make the place feel so lively and fun, and the music is absolutely great. It's up there as one of my favorites from Galaxy 1, honestly. Although to be fair, the missions are decently enjoyable as well. The one with the ice flower is really cool, I love playing through that one. And the stone cyclone is nice as well, apart from the fact that it reminds me of one of the worst levels from Galaxy 2. The first star is also one I like quite a bit. It's a pretty fun exploration level around the galaxy, and I love how there's a huge skip here that involves launching yourself up in the air using a palm tree. That's really funny. But unfortunately, the rest of the stars are pretty forgettable. There's once again 2 prankster comets here that are super unnecessary and add absolutely nothing to the game, and one last mission that just has you collect a golden shelf off of a penguin. It's pretty short and not that memorable. But like I said, Beach Bowl overall is a really nice galaxy. The vibes are incredible here, but there was some room for improvement gameplay wise. Number 10, Deep Dark Galaxy. Honestly, I think this galaxy doesn't get talked about as much as it should. If you ask me, it's up there as one of the most cool and creative ones in the game. It's got this amazing, dark, creepy vibe that I honestly like a ton, and it has a lot of fun and interesting level design that surprisingly fits really well with the theme of the level. Like, in one of the missions, you end by pushing marbles through a glass planet into a watermelon to make it grow, which then makes the planet explode and the star appear. And that's in like the weird gloomy galaxy, and it works. It doesn't feel disconnected from the rest of Deep Dark or anything, and I honestly don't get how the level even accomplishes that. That's kind of impressive, not gonna lie. And I mean, the rest of the missions are pretty cool as well. You got the one where you fight Camilla, which is a really good boss fight, especially in this arena. You got the other one where you fight Camilla, which is actually surprisingly fun and intense to do with only 1 health point. I guess there's also the star with Guppy, which is really whatever, and there's that one. Oh, there's also this really neat Seeker Star where you have to mess around with the gravity in this box to kill a boo with a spotlight. It's a pretty creative and fun obstacle. Aside from the gameplay aspect, I also really enjoy the main area. I like how it's open and it's actually used for all the missions in this galaxy. It really makes it feel like a cohesive environment that you're fully exploring star after star. This galaxy is just really good. It's pretty underrated in my opinion. I wish more people enjoyed and talked about it. Number 9, Battle Rock Galaxy. You know, I love this level. The vibe in here is so cool. The music in the skybox and the enemies and platforms, everything makes you feel like you're breaking into the enemy's base to destroy it from the inside. And that feeling in Battle Rock is particularly effective, which I really love. Not to mention, the missions each play into this really well, especially the second one with all the bombs you use to blow up cages, the chain chomps, and this weird construction you go into and then launch yourself out of in this super cinematic shot. Or there's also this cool mechanical looking section in the third mission. And just overall, this galaxy has a ton of super creative and fun ideas that all come together wonderfully well. If there's one thing I don't like about Battle Rock though, it's that it's the level that introduced Top Maniac, which is unfortunate. This boss is just piss easy and completely pointless, and you have to fight him twice in this galaxy. Keyword being, in this galaxy. Anyway, yeah, the Daredevil comment has no reason to exist, and Luigi Under the Saucer is also a really boring star. It basically just makes you replay the first mission with practically no changes, but aside from these 2 stars, I like pretty much everything in Battle Rock, even the infamous trash cleanup mission. You know, I don't mind it, and I never really have. I think a lot of people overstate how difficult it is. It's honestly very doable, and it's a pretty original idea, so I actually kinda like it. So yeah, Battle Rock is just a really fun galaxy, and I love its theme and how it presents it. Number 8, Dreadnought Galaxy. And speaking of Battle Rock's theme, yeah, so Dreadnought kind of is to Battle Rock what Goldleaf is to Honey Hive, in the sense that it's extremely similar to it. Now at first glance, you might be wondering what the hell I'm talking about since these don't really look alike, but trust me, Dreadnought has the same music, atmosphere, and structure as Battle Rock, and they both have really similar gameplay. The main difference here being that the level is this awesome rocket ship instead of just being a rock, so Dreadnought is inherently a lot cooler. Anyway, now what do I mean when I say that both of these stages have the same structure? Well, let's just go through the list of stars for both of them, shall we? Now, both of these galaxies start with a regular, long mission that stays on track with the theme. They continue with an auto-scroller where you dodge cannonballs on a moving platform. Then they both have a fight against Top Maniac, and then a refight of him with a prankster comet. After that, we've got 2 purple coin missions that take place on the respective stages' auto-scroller mission, and finally, they both have a near-identical trash cleanup mission. Yeah, do you see why I said these 2 levels are similar now? They have basically the same stars, at least in concept, except I do think Dreadnought is a bit more fun and does more interesting stuff with its ideas, which is why it got the slight edge. Also, thankfully, Luigi didn't f*** around in this galaxy, which means I don't have to replay the first mission in here for no reason, so that's cool as well. Overall, this is really just a Goldleaf situation where Dreadnought is pretty much just as enjoyable as Battle Rock for the same reasons that made that galaxy great. Number 7, Gusty Garden Galaxy. And just short of the S tier is the legendary Gusty Garden. Man, this galaxy's great. It's got amazing music, a beautiful nature theme, a bunny chase around a huge planet. Okay, maybe let's cut that last thing actually, that's not really great. Jokes aside though, this galaxy is a joy to play through. I love the nature theme here with all the grass platforms, the spiky vines, the apples, and even these flowers you can use to fly across from planet to planet. The music in this stage is also awesome and absolutely legendary, even though it is ridiculously overplayed. And there's so many standout moments amongst this galaxy's missions. The fight against Major Burrows, the Secret Star, which, by the way, is absolutely amazing. I love how creative and fun it is. It's legit one of my favorite missions in the game. Gusty Garden does have some weak spots though, namely Gusty Garden's Gravity Scramble, the 3rd star of the galaxy. I hate how disconnected and weird most of this mission feels from the rest of the level. The music and the gravity changes and the random cannonballs in this section have absolutely nothing to do with the nature theme all the other stars have. Plus, that mission in particular is also kind of boring, which most definitely doesn't help its case. Another star in here I don't like is the Major Burroughs Daredevil run because it's just a lazy rehash, as most Prankster Comets are. But going back to the positives though, I have a revelation to make. I actually kind of like the purple coin mission in this galaxy. Crazy, I know, even I'm shocked. Seriously though, the timer here actually makes the mission more intense, and also the fact that the coins are scattered around a single linear planet makes this star a lot more engaging than most other purple coin missions. All in all, this galaxy is super famous, and for good reasons. It's an absolute banger. And speaking of absolute bangers, we've at long last reached the S tier. I don't think I need to do much more speaking here, you know the gist. The galaxies in this tier are the cream of the crop, the absolute best of the best. Let's get started with our final tier. Number 6, Bowser's Galaxy Reactor. It may be a very predictable move to put the last castle in the game this high on the list, but I don't care, man, this galaxy's fucking awesome. It gives such a great sense of finality, like your journey's about to come to an end, and it does so through its music, its combination of a bunch of different level themes, its lack of a flying sequence at the start of the level, and obviously through its absolutely iconic cutscenes. But let's just talk about the actual level first, since that'll be a bit more simple to go over. So the main theme of this level is that it doesn't really have one. Instead, it's an amalgamation of a bunch of tiny planets, each with a different theming. You have the cool beginning one with the spotlights that change your gravity, the sand one, which is giving flashbacks to Dusty Dune Galaxy, and how could I forget that last section with all the bullet bills, thwomps, and moving platforms. This design choice might seem a little weird, but I honestly love it. I think it's really fitting for a final level. Oh, and the music is also amazing during these sections. It's so epic and grandiose. But now, after all of that, is the final Bowser fight. I've already covered that pretty in depth in the last video, but basically it's just a harder and more creative version of the previous Bowser fights. It's super fun and by far my favorite iteration of this boss fight. But of course, how could I talk about Galaxy Reactor without mentioning its cutscenes? They're super emotional and iconic for all the best reasons. There's the cool Comet Observatory cutscene that plays before you enter the level, but the real star of the show here is the one that plays after you defeat Bowser. You finally get to rescue Peach once and for all, and Bowser's galaxy collapses in on itself. And then whatever this is happens, and a bunch of Lumas, including the one that's been following along in your hat for this whole adventure, just sacrifice themselves to reset the f***ing universe. This is still a Mario game, by the way. You're watching footage from a Mario game right now. Yeah. Just, wow, what an incredible level, and simultaneously an incredible ending to Super Mario Galaxy. But now, we're in the top 5, my 5 favorite levels in the whole game. The remaining galaxies are all absolutely incredible, and they're honestly interchangeable. They're all about as great as each other. Except number 1 though, that one's clearly my favorite. Well, anywho, let's finally begin the top 5 of this ranking with number 5, Space Junk Galaxy. Holy shit, what an incredible level. Anytime I see someone talk about Mario Galaxy's really good and immersive atmosphere, this galaxy is what my mind immediately goes to. Everything from the music, to the skybox, to the general ambience of the place, it all really feels like you're deeply lost in space, and that's something I don't think any other level in this game accomplishes this well. It feels lonely and emotional, yet so relaxing. There's really nothing quite like it in any other Mario game. I love wandering through space junk sometimes, flying through the galaxy and visiting all these chunks of space debris, just soaking up the calm atmosphere. It's so pleasant. And I mean, the level design's good as well, even though it's clearly not the main focus of this galaxy. There's the Polestar mission, a couple bosses, a couple Prankster Comets, and the iconic Yoshi mission. Honestly, the stars here are very good. They're pretty fun and they don't ever get too redundant or annoying. But again, Space Junk's main appeal definitely resides in its vibe and music and such a lot more than in its gameplay. In any case, it's a super enjoyable galaxy to play through and to experience, and it's just one of my absolute favorites from this game. Number 4, Freeze Flame Galaxy. You know, as much as the fire and ice theme might be overdone, Freeze Flame still executes it really well. It starts with a solely ice theme mission, and then a lava one, and then combines the two in the third star. Not only does this mix look really nice aesthetically, this galaxy also has some great gameplay. It's one of the rare uses of the Ice Flower, which is a really fun power-up to mess around, especially in an open space like this. The Fire Flower is also here, and even though it's not as cool as the Ice one, it's still fun to burn down a bunch of crits and urchins. Oh, and also the Sequel Star in this galaxy is absolutely peak. You have to take the Ice Flower to the spot to get access to a launch star, which takes you to the other side of the mountain. Back here you have a little platforming section with the Fire Flower, which is really fun to go through normally, but you can also just do this. Yeah. Now, unfortunately, like every big galaxy so far, there's also two prankster comets in here. I'll let you guess how I feel about this slow pace and boring purple coin mission, but the cosmic race is actually not so bad. I love sliding on ice in this game, so that's a huge plus for this mission. And I also love how you can just skip huge portions of this course, that's really fun. So yeah, outside of the purple coins, Freeze Flame is a consistently fun and creative level that I always have a blast playing through. Number 3, Melty Molten Galaxy. If I had to describe Melty Molten in a single word, I think epic would be my first choice. I mean, this level just feels so cool and dangerous. From the music to the sick as hell lava theme, and the low-key insane shit you do in some sections, this galaxy's vibe is just incredible. It also has one of my favorite boss fights in the game, and also the only original Daredevil comet. Instead of just making you replay a boss fight like you'd expect, this time around it requires you to play the entirety of the first mission without ever getting hit and with no checkpoints. It's a really difficult challenge, and it contributes to the final world vibe this galaxy has. Other than that, the missions are what you'd expect from a lava level from Mario Galaxy. There's a bunch of cool looking and original level design, like this planet that gets flooded with lava, or the main area getting flooded by a rain of meteors in the second mission. Melty Molten is just exactly what I would want out of a Mario Galaxy lava level. It looks and feels cool as shit, and it's super fun to play through. Number 2, Ghostly Galaxy. Ghostly Galaxy is one of the rare levels in this game that doesn't really have a star that I don't like. I mean, sure, the Daredevil run of Bouldergeist is a bit lame, and some things could be improved on, but there's nothing in here that I straight up dislike, which is pretty impressive for a galaxy with 6 different stars. And while we're on the topic of stars, yeah, this galaxy has a purple coin mission that I actually find really fun. I love when purples are used in ways like this where they create an interesting and original challenge instead of being lazily slapped onto a galaxy's main area. Also, arguably the biggest highlight of this galaxy is Bouldergeist. If you go online, you'll see your fair share of people that think this boss is overrated, but I could not disagree more with that. Bouldergeist is super fun and engaging, and I love his more creepy vibe. Actually, that's another thing with this galaxy, the vibe is super cool. I love the music, the disturbing skybox, and the gloomy tone of Ghostly Galaxy. Plus, it's always super fun to play through each of its stars, and it's overall a really enjoyable level. Number 1, Toy Time Galaxy. The galaxy's so good, they took a planet from it and made that a whole level in Galaxy 2. Okay, well, they did do that with Beach Bowl as well, but that doesn't count, shut up. Yeah, so Toy Time is like really good and stuff. If you ask me, it's the only galaxy in the game that doesn't get anything wrong in the slightest. Seriously though, I enjoy every single mission here, which is super impressive for a galaxy with 6 stars and a purple coin comet. Now being consistently fun is already a very good quality for a level, but on top of that, Toy Time excels in pretty much every other aspect. I mean, it's got great music, a really cool theme and atmosphere, and one of its missions has the spring mushroom, yet it lets you completely skip it if you master Galaxy's movement well enough. Dude, I love when this power-up gets f***ed over, it's great. Anyway, going back to the gameplay aspect, this galaxy really just manages to be fun and exciting all the time, it's crazy. Like, to give you an idea, the quality of the stars in Toy Time ranges from good to like, actually my favorite mission in the whole game. Did you guys tell that I like this galaxy? Well, anyway, the first mission is where you get your first look at the sick children's toys aesthetic, which looks really nice, and at the oddly disturbing and dreadful skybox. Yeah, you also fight Mecha Bowser, which is really cool, and a great way to end a mission. Then the second star is the Mario Galaxy 2 reference, and the third is the Spring Mushroom mission. It's unironically super fun to complete without ever using the power-up. You should try it if you haven't yet. It also, weirdly enough, starts having this desserts theme halfway through the level. I don't know why, but it looks awesome, so I'm not complaining. Then you have my aforementioned favorite star in the game, and holy shit, it is so good. And the worst part is, it's a purple coin mission too, yet it manages to be super dynamic, engaging, and incredibly fun to play. Oh, and then the last 2 stars are just budgets don't cycle on and budgets don't cycle on but fast. I mean, they're fun to play through, but they kind of fall flat compared to the other amazing stars in this galaxy. So that's about it for Toy Time. It's an amazingly fun, exciting, and original galaxy, with a really cool theme, atmosphere, and song, and that's why I absolutely think it deserves to be called the best level in Super Mario Galaxy. Well, we're finally done with this video. Thank God, I have been recording for nearly 2 hours straight. I'm so tired. I hope y'all enjoyed it. It was really a ton of work, but I'm glad I actually did manage to make it in less than 3 months this time. It was still way too ambitious of a project though. Making a 40-minute video was a lot more work than I thought it would be. Actually, speaking of that, next video will be a lot shorter. I'm going to try something a bit different, and it should take a lot less time to come out than this one. Well, for now, I hope you enjoyed this ranking. Thanks for sticking until the end. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.